Today, let's spend some time thinking about something quite profound, actually. It's about faith,
Mm,
but maybe not in the overwhelming lightning bolt sort of way we sometimes imagine it.
right. More like a quieter almost unseen kind of force.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that its strength, well, it seems it doesn't really depend on how big it is.
No, it seems to be much more about what, or rather who, that faith is directed towards.
It's interesting, isn't it, how we often assume that, to achieve something big, you need this massive surge of confidence or certainty right from the start.
We do. It feels intuitive. But the principle we're exploring today, it sort of turns that on its head.
Yeah.
It suggests that even, well, the smallest beginning, the tiniest spark of belief, can actually set incredible things in motion.
It brings to mind that scripture, Matthew 17:20, I believe.
Ah, yes, the mustard seed.
Right. Truly, I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move.
Such a powerful image.
It really is. This tiny, tiny seed, you can barely see it. Yet it holds the potential to move a mountain. It makes you stop and think, well, what kind of power is that?
Exactly. It pushes us to think beyond our own capacity. Maybe the power isn't in the faith itself, like as a measurable thing we possess,
Yeah.
but maybe its effectiveness, its punch, comes from connecting it to something much, much greater than us.
So it's like plugging a small appliance into a huge power source. The appliance is small, but the power it accesses is immense.
That's a great analogy. It's about entrusting that little bit of belief, that small seed, to a framework, a person, a power that can move mountains.
Oh, we all have those mountains, don't we, in our life?
Oh, absolutely. Challenges that just loom so large they feel completely overwhelming.
Yeah, personal struggles or difficult circumstances, maybe a goal that just feels impossible. They feel very real, very solid.
And very daunting. So this idea that a tiny speck of faith could possibly impact such a huge problem, well, honestly, it can sound a little simplistic maybe.
It can, until you reframe it like you just did.
And perhaps we should see faith less as a feeling, like a constant state of absolute certainty,
Mm.
and more as a catalyst, something that starts an action.
So faith isn't passive waiting.
I don't think so. Not this kind, anyway. It's not about having zero fear or knowing every single step. It's more about that willingness, isn't it?
Willingness to do what?
To take the next small step, even when you are scared, even when the whole path ahead is, pretty unclear.
That next small step idea is really key, I think. It feels manageable.
It does. It's like being in a dark room. You don't see the other side, maybe, but you take one step.
Trusting the ground will be there.
Right. Trusting. That's the core of it.
There's that story, I think it resonates here, about the entrepreneur in Nigeria
Hmm.
back in 2025.
Oh, yes. That's a powerful example of this principle in action.
Can you remind us a bit about that?
Sure. I mean, picture the scene. Starting a school, remote village, practically no resources. Just, what was it, a few books and a tarp for shelter.
Wow. That's starting from less than scratch.
Pretty much. And the vision. Education for every child there. I mean, think about how impossible that must have seemed, the sheer scale of it.
Absolutely. You can imagine people saying, that's just a dream. It's not practical.
Of course. But how did it begin? The account says it started with just a prayer and a small step.
A prayer and a small step. That's it.
That's it. That initial action, launching the school with almost nothing against all odds, that was the mustard seed of faith being planted, being acted upon.
And the result.
Well, fast forward, and the school isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Over 200 students, apparently, and they're building proper classrooms now.
That's incredible. It really shows the power of just starting and keeping going.
Exactly. Consistent, small steps. Grounded in that initial belief, it wasn't an overnight miracle.
No, it was steady progress. Incremental change adding up to something significant. One small act of faith building on the last.
It really underscores that idea, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And then there's the other story, the wildfire survivor in the U.S. That's another angle on this.
A very different kind of mountain. Facing total devastation, losing your home, your belongings, everything.
The sheer loss. It's hard to even comprehend. The task of just rebuilding your life from zero.
You'd imagine a feeling of just complete hopelessness. Where do you even begin?
Right. That's a mountain of grief, of practical problems all at once.
And yet, what does the story tell us? It says that faith sustained this person. But how?
How?
Through one tiny choice at a time.
One tiny choice, not a big leap.
No, not a sudden cure for the pain or the fear, just the next small decision. Get up, Make a phone call, fill out a form, keep moving.
Even when hope felt miles away.
Exactly. It was about those continuous small acts of choosing to move forward step by step.
And now that person helps other disaster survivors.
Yes, taking that resilience, that strength forged in their own hardship and, well, sustained by their faith.
I'm paying it forward.
Precisely. It shows that ripple effect, doesn't it? How that initial tiny choice to just keep going can eventually lead to helping countless others.
These stories, they really paint a picture of faith that isn't flashy.
No, not at all. It's not necessarily about grand pronouncements or dramatic events. It's often quiet. It's steady.
Faithful, you might say.
Faithful is the perfect word. It manifests in that consistency, those small acts of trust, that forward momentum day after day.
And its power, maybe, is greater than we often realize at the time.
I think so. It seems these examples show that this steady, faithful approach is incredibly powerful.
So when we look at our own mountains, those obstacles that feel just too big, maybe the answer isn't trying to somehow conjure up this huge, overwhelming feeling of belief out of nowhere.
Perhaps not. Maybe it's more about asking, okay, what's one thing? What's one small, manageable step I can actually take right now?
Even if I'm feeling uncertain, even if I'm scared.
Especially then, maybe, because the impact isn't really about the size of the step, is it?
No, based on what we're saying, it's about what it connects to.
Exactly, that underlying truth. It's not about the size of your faith, it's about the greatness of your God. That really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? It takes the pressure off us and our limitations.
It does. It focuses on the one the faith is in, the source of the power.
And that source has boundless potential, infinite capability. Our small act of faith just becomes the conduit, the connection point.
That's actually really liberating. It means I don't have to feel massively strong or certain to start moving the mountain.
Right. You just need to take that first mustard seed-sized step, trusting in the one who can move it.
It also helps make sense of faith and fear coexisting.
Absolutely. Fear is natural when facing big challenges. These stories don't suggest the fear vanished.
No, the survivor felt hopeless. The entrepreneur faced impossible odds. Fear was likely present.
But they acted anyway. Faith isn't necessarily the absence of fear. Often it's the courage to take that next small step, despite the fear.
Even when you're scared, just keep moving.
One tiny choice at a time.
So let's bring this home for everyone listening. Think about your life right now. Is there a mountain you're facing? What might be one small, maybe even seemingly insignificant step you could take today?
Just one thing.
Yeah. What's that initial tiny action rooted in your belief that could just begin? Just begin to create some movement.
It might feel small, it might feel inadequate against the size of the problem.
But as we've explored today, remember where the real power lies.
Huh.
It's not in the size of the seed.
It's in the one it's planted in. That small step, directed towards something, someone infinitely greater, holds more potential than we can possibly imagine.